How's it going, everyone? It is time for yet another Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft. This will be the 4th rendition in the series. And I was kind of waiting to see, okay, what the compensation would be for Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets, because then we'll know exactly the draft picks the Packers will have in this upcoming draft if that trade gets completed before this draft and includes some of the picks for this upcoming draft. But that hasn't happened yet, and I usually want to do a mock draft every single week, so we're going to assume what a trade would look like again with Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets in this mock draft. And if you're a new viewer and interested in this sort of thing, I do mock drafts every single week, and I cover the Packers all over, from news analysis, updates, salary cap, free agency, and of course the draft, just like this. So if that does interest you, I'd really appreciate it if you went down, clicked the subscribe button, and left a like on the video to support the channel. I think something like 60% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so again, I just really appreciate it if you did. Help me out with that YouTube algorithm. So there's been so many differing reports on what Aaron Rodgers' compensation will look like. There's reports saying the Packers want more than the Jets are willing to give right now, and the Jets are looking at it as a Brett Favre type situation with a conditional 4th-round draft choice. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that low. I mean, I would be extremely upset if it came out that the Packers got like a 4th-round draft selection for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the dude is 1 year removed from back-to-back MVP seasons, and last year had a broken thumb and an injured leg as well. So I think you can still get a lot for him, and I think the Packers have a lot of leverage right now. The Jets want Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of their only choice. They've already met with him. Aaron Rodgers went out publicly saying he wants to play for them. That I think the Packers do have the leverage here, but you're kind of on a slippery slope. You don't want to take it too far to where the Jets just say, you know, we're not giving that up. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers has some leverage too. So it's a really confusing situation, but I think they will come to an agreement. Like I said, I want the 13th overall pick. I feel like if you're Brian Gutekunst, you need to at least get that, even if it was just Aaron Rodgers for the 13. You know, I want more than that personally, but if it was just that, I'd be like, okay, at least we have 2 first-round draft selections this year to build around Jordan Love and the future of this football team. So if we bring up the draft screen here, here's a trade I have set up. So it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, pick 243 and pick 150 for 13, 144, 206, and a next year 3rd. That next year 3rd would be conditional on if Aaron Rodgers returns. Maybe it could jump up to a 2nd. If Aaron Rodgers makes the Pro Bowl or the Jets win the Super Bowl, something like that, it could jump up to a 1st. So I think there will be a conditional pick in this trade, something like that. Obviously, it doesn't matter too much for a mock draft, but I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible. So we're going to be getting 13, 144, 206, and the 3rd round next year. I'm not going to add a player into this. Now, of course, you could get maybe someone like Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, maybe even Tyler Conklin. If you go on the defensive side here, a lot of people say Jermaine Johnson. I just don't see the Jets trading him. And others say Carl Lawson. The dude has a ridiculous contract. Again, it just doesn't really fit with the Packers. I do like Jordan Whitehead here. That's definitely an option. But for this one, we're going to get no players. We're going to try to build the team through the draft. I do think the Packers will sign some free agents, some depth guys, maybe at edge, safety, tight end, whatever it may be. We saw Robert Tonyan sign with the Bears, and my helmet right there is a signed Robert Tonyan helmet. I'm like, dude, any other team, like any other team. That's such an awesome helmet and a great, you know, a signed helmet there. But it's like, dude, now you're a Bear. It just feels dirty a little bit. But Robert Tonyan's with the Bears. The Packers have a skeleton crew at tight end. It's pretty much just Josiah DeGuara, which I do believe in. And Mercedes Lewis will likely go to the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and all that whole crew. So the Packers have a big need at tight end. So we're definitely going to address that in this draft. All right, so let's quickly run over the first 12 picks in this mock draft. Carolina obviously traded up to number 1. They grabbed their guy in Bryce Young. CJ Stroud goes number 2 to the Texans. Will Anderson, the first non-quarterback off the board here, to the Arizona Cardinals. Will Levis to the Colts. Tyree Wilson to the Seahawks. Jalen Carter falls all the way to 6 to the Lions here. Paris Johnson at 7 to the Raiders. Anthony Richardson at 8 to the Falcons. Devin Witherspoon at 9 to the Bears. Quentin Johnston at 10 to the Eagles. That would be a nice grab for them. Deontay Banks, who's been flying up boards, at pick 11 to the Titans, and Peter Skoronski at 12 to the Texans. So right now, sitting at 13, we also have pick 15. Christian Gonzalez is on the board. Man, that would be a really, really nice pick, a luxury to have someone like that next to Jair Alexander. JSN is also here. You know, the irony of this is the Packers are going to move on from Aaron Rodgers, never draft him a first-round wide receiver. And if they end up getting 13 from the Jets, I believe it's very, very likely the Packers end up getting a first-round wide receiver. The first year Jordan Love is their starting quarterback. Kalijah Kancey's here, Brian Branch, Lucas Van Ness, Joey Porter Jr., Dalton Kincaid, Brian Brzee, Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy. A lot of good talent on the board. Might try to trade down and maybe pick up a little bit more early second round where there's a lot of guys I do like for this football team. So although I do really want to draft Christian Gonzalez here or JSN, we pick in 2 picks. So if I trade this one down, I should get one of these players. So if I go and try to trade with the LA Chargers here to pick 21, getting 21, 53, and 85, giving up 13 and 206. They accept that trade, so the Chargers jumped up. We're gaining more value here in this draft. Chargers are going to pick Christian Gonzalez, and then Broderick Jones goes at 14 to the New England Patriots. So here we are back on the board at 15, and like I said, the irony of the situation is I really do believe the Packers, with 2 first-round draft selections, if it goes down this way, will draft a first-round wide receiver. And I really do believe JSN would be a perfect fit just because the Packers don't have a slot wide receiver right now. Randall Cobb isn't going to re-sign with the Packers. Brian Gutekunst probably does not even want him back in the building. Nothing against Randall Cobb, but that was more of like an Aaron Rodgers requirement. And with Aaron Rodgers pretty much almost gone, he's likely going to sign with the Jets there. Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, yeah, sure, both can kind of play some slot. Samori Toure and Bo Melton can definitely play some slot, but those are, back-end roster guys, and I love Samori Toure, and I think both of him and Bo Melton can be, good receivers in this league, but there's something different about JSN, just the production in 2021, almost 1,600 yards and 9 touchdowns. We see mostly all of that coming in the slot, 367 yards in the slot. I think he's fine. I don't think the hamstring's an issue anymore. Now, I know he didn't run the 40-yard dash at his combine. A lot of people were questioning why, and sometimes you just don't have to. And a lot of people say, oh, because he's really slow. But he also had a 6.57 second 3-cone and a 3.93 short shuttle, which was the best 2 numbers for those 2 things for all receivers at the combine. So this dude is quick. Yeah, sure, maybe he doesn't have the top-end speed, but he is quick. I think this would be a great pick here. The Packers need a slot wide receiver. You're going to have to surround Jordan Love with talent. So with this pick at pick 15, after trading down out of 13, we are going JSN, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Then the next player is off the board, Brian Branch at 16, Brian Brzee at 17, Joey Porter Jr. at 18, Nolan Smith at 19, a player I really like, and of course, it's a defender from Georgia, so the Packers probably have their eyes on him, plus his RAS score in his combine was ridiculous. Kalijah Kancey at 20 to the Seahawks. Miami Dolphins pick is forfeited. We're back on the board at 21, and this is a pretty easy pick for me. I want to grab an edge player here, and I do like Miles Murphy, but Lucas Van Ness has fallen to this point. Usually, you would think right around 12 to 15 to 16, he's going to get picked. As we see here, his ranks 15, his average draft position is 16, and we're here at 21, and he's still on the board. So, if you get JSN at 15 and you trade down to 21 and LVN's still on the board here, I think you run that card up. He fits the Brian Gutekunst threshold here at edge with an extremely athletic RAS score here, 9.36. He's 6'5", 272 pounds. A 4.58 40-yard dash, really great agility grade. So, he fits that mold for Gutekunst, what he likes in his edge players. And, he had 9 sacks last year. The production was there, a 74.3 pass rush grade, 18.8% pass rush win rate. Production was there. The Packers have a big needed edge. I say this every single draft. I think this would be an excellent pick at pick 21. So we're doing it. We're going Lucas Van Ness, edge out of Iowa at 21. All right, so our next pick is at pick 45. I'm going to try to trade up with the Raiders here because I just saw Luke Musgrave come off the board, and the Packers need to address tight end. Last mock draft, I went for Darnell Washington, and I'm going to do the same in this draft. I'm going to trade up from 45 to 38 with the Las Vegas Raiders here, and they do accept it. So we move up a bit by giving up, I think it was a 6th or 7th round, and we're going to snag a tight end, and this probably isn't going to be the last one in this draft. It's going to be Darnell Washington. There's a pretty big drop-off after Laporta and Washington. I do like Tucker Kraft. Schoonmaker had a really good RAS, so did Zach Kuntz here, so I like both of these guys as well later in the draft. But getting someone like Darnell Washington, like I said, Mercedes Lewis is probably gone. I think it's an instant replacement there, and a more athletic one. Obviously, Mercedes Lewis, I think he's turning 38 or 39 years old, so not what he used to be in terms of a receiving standpoint. But Darnell Washington, man, there's not much more you can say about this guy. I would be extremely ecstatic about the Packers selecting him in the 2nd round here. Looking at his RAS, 6'6.5", 264 pounds, 21 bench reps, a 4'6", 440 at that height and weight is ridiculous. 11-inch hands, also agility, a 9.85 shuttle, and a 10-foot 2-inch broad jump. Obviously fits that athletic mold at a 9.85 RAS for the Green Bay Packers. I would love him as a Packer, and he's from Georgia, so Ryan Gutekunst has his eyes on him. So at pick 38, we traded up, didn't have to pay much. He would have gone before pick 45, I guarantee that. So we're going Darnell Washington at 38, tight end out of Georgia. So we're here on the board at pick 53. There's a ton of talent on the board, so I'm going to try to trade down with the Kansas City Chiefs here, moving down 10 spots, picking up 95. So we're going to be trading 53, picking up 63, and 95. So we're going to go ahead and offer that trade. It's going to be accepted. Let's get to our pick. So we're back on the board at 63, and I'm really interested in getting a lineman here. Now, there's a couple centers on the board, Weipler and Joe Tippmann. I do like Tippmann better, but there's also Cody Mauch on the board who, it just screams Green Bay Packer and, has an excellent career in North Dakota, 91.8 last year and 88.9 the year before, allowing 1 sack in each year, primarily a left tackle. I just feel like Bakhtiari is going to be here for the next few years. Now, Cody Mauch could definitely swing into guard. Like, that's what his projection kind of is, center or guard. So if you're kind of going to do that anyways, I think you should go with someone like Tippmann, who I think has a lot more versatility, which the Packers like, and, could compete at center. And I know this would be, the second time drafting a second-round center in the past few years with Josh Myers, but honestly, it was very underwhelming last year to Josh Myers, and I think there needs to be competition there, whether that's with Zach Tom against Myers or Tippmann and Zach Tom against Myers. But the thing about Tippmann is he could play center, he could play guard, and I think he could play right tackle. I mean, he's 6'6", 317. He surely has the size. The dude in space is just, he moves like a tight end, it says on the move here, in space, as athleticism here. They say center/guard. He's only played 11 snaps at guard in his career, mainly just center, but like I said, I think he could play either guard spot, center, and then also right tackle if you wanted him to. Only allowed 1 sack in the last 3 seasons, 78.7 last year, 85.1 the year before, and an 88.2 the year before that. Obviously only 1 game played there, but the last 2 years, 12 games each, only allowed 1 single sack, 4 total hits, and 4 total hurries. So I just think it would be a really nice player to have in this offensive line. Just more depth and another versatile guy, kind of like Zach Tom. I think he could be very, very similar to him. And the Packers always draft line. And like every single draft, they kind of grab guys like this. So I'm going to go Joe Tippmann, center/guard/right tackle out of Wisconsin here at pick 63. So now we're picking at pick 78. I wanted to get Jordan Battle because it's like my mock draft guy. Like that's who I get every time. But he sadly went at pick 71 to the Saints. And I do really like Jammie Robinson. He was like a certified second-round player like a month ago, at least on this mock draft simulator. But recently has been falling a bit. But I still like him. I think he's a very complete safety. The Packers, like we always say, the safety room is a skeleton crew right now. They have Darnell Savage, and that's it. Adrian Amos hasn't signed anywhere else yet, so there's still a chance they could bring him back. They'll likely bring back Rudy Ford. I'm sure they're just letting both of them test a free agency and seeing, if they don't get any big deals anywhere else, then they'll bring them back on some cheap deals there. But the Packers need to draft 1 or 2 safeties in the draft minimum. And then we'll see, if they look into someone else around the league, someone like Taylor Rapp or something like that. But for this instance, we're going to go with Jammie Robinson. He's played a lot of deep safety snaps, 352, also some box and some slot. He's a versatile guy, 65 tackles last year, a really low missed tackle rate, 7.4%, 8 coverage stops, 15 run stops, 4 incompletions forced, only allowed 1 touchdown, and had 1 interception, allowed a 74.3 passer rating, has a good run defense grade. He's all around just a really, really good safety in my opinion, and I think excellent value here in the 3rd round. I do like him a lot. So pick 78, we're going Jammie Robinson, safety out of Florida State. So we're back on the board in the 3rd round yet again at pick 85, and I think I'm going to go offense yet again. I'm going to go for another wide receiver. We already got JSN, that pure slot wide receiver, so why not get a pure outside wide receiver, a dude with size, extreme athleticism, and a lot of production, and that is A.T. Perry from Wake Forest. An 83.4 last year and 82.6 the year before. 80 run receptions last year for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns. The year before that, 71 receptions for 1,296 yards and 15 touchdowns. I mean, all this dude does is put up numbers and score touchdowns. I mean, if we look at his RAS here, a 9.23 fits that Packers mold. So on here it says he's 6'5". As you see, 6'5", 205. That's not the case. He's still 6'3" and a half, we'll call it. 198 pounds, a little light for that 6'3" frame, but a 4.47 at 6'3". And a really insane broad jump, 11 foot 1 inches, and a pretty decent vertical at 35 inches there. Like I said, just so much production. Getting JSN and A.T. Perry in this draft class, I think, would be an excellent haul at wide receiver. You know, I feel like they complement each other so much, where JSN's, like I said, that pure slot receiver. This guy, outside receiver, like all outside snaps in his career. 9% drop rate, 44% contested catch rate, 2.57 yards per route run, a good grade against man coverage, and overall a good receiving grade here. I really like A.T. Perry. He's been growing on me a lot. Didn't know much about him like a month ago, but now that I've seen the combine and watched more, of these players and these prospects, I do like A.T. Perry, and I think he definitely fits that Packers mold. So at 85, we're going A.T. Perry, wide receiver out of Wake Forest. We are back on the board at pick 95, so we have another third-round selection here, and this is kind of a luxury pick. There's still a lot of needs on this football team, but I think in general, this draft, you just got to draft for the future. And honestly, getting a running back here, I wouldn't put it past the Green Bay Packers to get a running back in the third round of this draft if it fell this way and they had this many picks due to trading, Aaron Rodgers trading down some of the times. And there's a lot of options. There's Devin Arcane, Dwayne McBride, Tank Bigsby here, and even Tajay Spears down here. I think I've drafted Spears a couple times. I've drafted McBride. I think Devin Arcane is tremendous value right here. I mean, Texas A&M back, a 90-plus grade in 2021 and 2020, an 82.4 last year, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, but also a good receiving back. 36 receptions on 44 targets for 196 yards last year, an 89.8 rushing grade, and elusive rating of 93.0. He's 5'9", 185. They don't really follow any type of height requirement for running backs like they do other positions. Arcane ran a 4.3 240 at this last combine, and Packers could use him as their jet motion guy and just in general a gadget guy, and I think he could do a lot in this Packers offense, under Matt LaFleur, under Jordan Love, and as we see here where he wins home run speed, he's a light box back where he can improve muscle mass. 185 pounds, but I really like him. I think he'll transition into the NFL really, really well and be, a threat on any team's offense. So, like I said, it's a luxury pick, but I wouldn't put it past the Packers here, drafting a running back this early. So pick 95, we're going Devin Arcane, running back out of Texas A&M. Here at pick 116, another player I really like falling right into my hands is Moro Ojomo here, defensive lineman out of Texas. The Packers just lost Aaron Rodgers. He was a pending free agent, went to Seattle, returned back to his former team there. So the Packers are looking a little light on defensive linemen now. I do believe that it's time for the future and young guys with TJ Slaton, Devontae Wyatt, and of course we still have Kenny Clark there. But they need to add one more guy there. Either in the draft, free agency, or both. And I think Moro Ojomo just fits the Packers defense really well, 3-4 defense. 90.6 last year, 5 sacks. I drafted him in a couple mock drafts. A 91.4 run defense grade, really good run defender. They say he can improve with his pass rush skill. I mean, he had 5 sacks last year. But he could play, 3-4 defensive end for us, either 0 tech or 3 tech, honestly, either at that point. He has a third round projection. He's 6'3", 281 pounds. And like I said, I just think it's a good replacement for Aaron Rodgers / Dean Lowry here. In the 4th round, I think it's excellent value as well. So at 116, we're going Moro Ojomo, defensive lineman out of Texas. So we're going to try to trade up and grab a player I like as well here. Trade with the Bills. They're light on back end of the draft. So we're going to trade 144 and 233 and try to grab pick 130 here. So we offer that trade. They're going to accept it, and he's right near the top of the board here. That's KJ Henry. Really like him as well. And like I said, Packers should add 2 edge guys in this draft. Already got Lucas Van Ness, excellent value at pick 21. Now we're going to grab KJ Henry, who, honestly, I think was pretty close to Myles Murphy last year at Clemson. So I think he's very underrated, and I would love him in the 4th round. I think it would be another steal, just like Kingsley Enagbare last year, where I think this guy should be, drafted higher. KJ Henry, 6'4", 251 pounds, ran a 4.63 40, and we see here he has a nice RAS of an 8.37. So we're going to add another edge into this edge room. Really stack that edge room. Have, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and Igbare, Lucas Van Ness, and KJ Henry. I think it'll be an excellent group to have going into the future. So here at pick 130, we are going KJ Henry, edge from Clemson. So we were back on the board at pick 170, and I'm going to draft another tight end. I'm going to go Zach Kuntz here. I made a tweet a little bit ago, like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, the Packers should draft Darnell Washington and Zach Kuntz and just run 12 personnel the entire game. And honestly, I wasn't joking that much. Another massive human of a tight end, adding Darnell Washington and Zach Kuntz. I mean, it would be ridiculous. 6'8", 245 pounds. Not crazy good production last year, only 5 games played. The year before that, 13 games, almost 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And the main thing that tells me the Packers would love to draft him is he literally had a 10.0 RAS. 6'7", so not 6'8", 6'7", still. 23 bench reps, 255 pounds, a 4.55 40 at 6'7". That is just scary. Like that is scary. And look at the elite shuttle and 3-cone, 40-inch vertical, 10'8" broad jump. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is just like, this dude was built in a lab. So we're gonna go and grab both tight ends that were built in labs with Darnell Washington and Zach Kuntz here from Old Dominion. And just run 12 personnel the entire game. Just threaten teams with double tight end. And I think it would work wonderfully. So at pick 170, we're going to go Zach Kuntz, tight end out of Old Dominion. So jumping all the way to round 7, didn't have a pick in round 6. We have 2 left. 7th round, again, we're just getting special teams guys, some depth guys. And since it's a 7th round, I'm going to do what I do every other mock draft and grab Hunter Lupke, bring back the NFL fullback. That's all I have to say. Then we're back on the clock here at 258. And with this final pick, we're going to add another safety, and I really like Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State. Again, we're kind of following the Packers, what they like, and that is athletes. A 9.3 RAS. Not the greatest 40-yard time. No safety ran fast in this draft class, really. A 4.5 440. He is small. He's 5'11", but where he wins is vertical, broad jump, and just in general, I do like him. And if we look at his stats last year, 53 tackles last year, decent amount of missed tackles with 13. He had a 74.9 coverage grade, 68.1 run defense grade. I mean, you're getting a safety here in the 7th round. This dude's likely just going to be a special teamer to start anyway. So with the final pick, we're going Anthony Johnson Jr., safety out of Iowa State. All right, so that does it for this Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft 4.0. Let's quickly recap everything. We traded Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets, and basically for pick 13 and some other stuff there as well. Traded down from 13 to 21. Then at 15, got Jackson Smith and Jigba, pure slot wide receiver. The Packers need that. Like I said, the irony of the Packers moving on from Aaron Rodgers and then right away drafting a first-round wide receiver would just be hilarious, and honestly, I think it's going to happen. Pick 21, ran that card up, Lucas Van Ness. I mean, I see him going before 15, so if he's there at 21, run that card up. I think he fits the Packers mold. The Packers didn't have a need at edge. Then at pick 38, we went Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington in the 2nd round, I would love either way. Then at pick 63, we went Joe Tippmann. This dude can play center, he can play guard, he could probably play right tackle. Very versatile guy. I think the Packers need to add someone like him just to have a little bit more depth, maybe some competition at center, and just allow them to move some of their guys and just really put the best 5 guys there out in the offensive line. Then at pick 78, we go Jamie Robinson, safety, kind of falling in the draft, but it's still a very complete safety in my opinion. A.T. Perry, I think he's 6'3", extremely, fast receiver. Great RAS. Would be nice to pair him with JSN. Luxury pick here at 95, Devin Arcane. Great production at Texas A&M with poor run blocking and also a good receiving back. Extremely fast, like top end speed. Could be your motion guy, your jet sweep guy, your gadget guy. At pick 116, Moro Joma. Love this guy. I want him to be a Packer. I think he fits so well. At 130, we traded up, grabbed KJ Henry, grabbed a second edge in this draft. Again, I like him a lot. Like him a lot in the 4th round. Zach Kuntz, we get the 2 biggest, most athletic freaks at tight end in this draft with Washington and Kuntz here. Like I said, just run 12 personnel the entire game. I'm not even joking. Zach Kuntz here at 170. And then round 7, we had 2 picks. I always go Hunter Lupke. And then I went with a safety, depth, special teamer, good RES, safety, Anthony Johnson Jr. from Iowa State. So that does it for this mock draft. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I honestly really like this mock draft. This might be my favorite one I've done so far. I know other people will have other opinions down in the comments, like certain players they hate and certain players that were on the board that they love, and I should have drafted that guy over that guy. Just let me know down in the comments below. But I appreciate everyone watching. I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.